We got a whole lot of Michigan State basketball tidbits to get to. Where do they stand in bracketology? Where do they stand in the Big Ten tournament seeding? Also, just how good has Tyson Walker been at home so far this season? We also talk a little bit about Jaxon Kohler, Mady Sissoko, some 2025 recruiting. Oh yeah, packed show. Let's get to it.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Before going any further, hey, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. We're still kind of just relishing in the victory that happened on Tuesday night. In my opinion, and probably your opinion too, Michigan State's biggest win of the season, taking down top 20 Indiana. And we didn't get to this on yesterday's show, but that meant a lot for bracket implications. No question about that. We're going to go through it all really quick here. So heading into the game, to many bracketologies, Michigan State was considered an 8 seed. Now, there is a website that actually does all the hard work for us, so we don't have to comb through every single bracketology on the internet. It's called Bracket Matrix. They compile dozens and dozens of bracketology from like the professionals like Joe Lenardi, down to the guys that have itty-bitty blogs that, well, only Bracket Matrix reads. So they compile all that. Heading into Tuesday's game, Michigan State was the best 8 seed on Bracket Matrix. Pretty much they're either a 7 or an 8 across the board. I didn't see anyone that had them at a 6, and no one had them at a 10. Saw a little bit of 9s, but consensus was that, yeah, they are an 8 seed. Now you win that game, okay, you're going to be boosted up to that 7 line. And with just 3 regular season games to go, and of course the Big Ten tournament, we can get a better look of what Michigan State actually has to do to stay on that 7 line, to maybe even climb up to that 6 line. Or, hey, if you're really just the biggest worrier in the world, I'm not name calling, I'm a very big worrier myself, but if you're worried that, hey, one more win would really solidify our tournament seeding, well, let's take a look, because barttorvik.com, they are the computers in this case that, well, they simulate a bunch of seasons, very mathematically based, all that good stuff. So you can go on their website and you can plug in, hey, let's say they lose to Iowa, okay, but they beat Nebraska on the road and they beat Ohio State at home. They win their first round Big Ten tournament game, and then they lose their second Big Ten tournament game. Now, I use that example because, well, that is what the computers have as most likely happening. They are underdogs at Iowa, favored against Nebraska, favored against Ohio State. They will be favored in that first round game, most likely, and then probably not favored in that second game. But let's say it's all chalk. Okay, everything goes according to plan. Bart Torvik says that Michigan State is going to be a 7 seed. Now, let's say you're still riding that high from Tuesday night, and you think Michigan State can win at Iowa, win at Nebraska, and then win on senior night, and then win their first Big Ten tournament game, lose the second one. Bart Torvik says that that would be good enough for a 6 seed. So, yes, the path to a 6 seed is still there. And, of course, it starts, well, okay, it actually starts on Tuesday. I was going to say it starts on Saturday, but now step 1 was taking care of top 20 ranked Indiana at home. And now you got another good opportunity for a quad 1 win at Iowa. And then you round out the year with at Nebraska, home against Ohio State. Yeah, if you win that first Big Ten tournament game, the computers are saying that MSU will still get that last 6 seed. It's not going to be a solid one, but hey, you know what? A 6 seed is a 6 seed. You take it any way you can. Now, let's say that you're not an optimistic person whatsoever, and you think Michigan State loses their next 4 games. They lose to Iowa, they lose to Nebraska, they lose to Ohio State, and they lose their first Big Ten tournament game. Oh, my God. Spartan Nation is crumbling. Everything is horrible. But really, this is also a conversation, too, and this is something that I said as well, that, hey, Michigan State, when they beat Indiana, they kind of locked up their tournament bid, right? Doesn't really matter what they do the rest of the season. And Bart Torvik says differently. If Michigan State does lose their next 4 games, Bart Torvik has them as the first team out. So with that said, though, humans like the bracketologists that are on Bracket Matrix, the Joe Lenardis, the Jerry Palms of the world, they've been higher on Michigan State than the computers have all season. So if they are a first team out on Bart Torvik, I think the committee would still give the nod to Michigan State. But how about we just don't deal with that drama whatsoever and actually, just win 1, 2, or dare I say 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of these games to end the season. Now, about that Big Ten tournament. Wow, this is like a horse race where the announcer says you can throw a blanket over this field. There are so many teams bunched together in the standings here in the Big Ten. It's tight because there are 2 games that separate having a double bye and also not having a double bye, starting your tournament on Wednesday. There are 8 teams. 8 teams. That's right. With 7 or 9 losses. Okay, that is 8 teams separated by 2 games between that Wednesday first round game as an 11 seed, and then also, that Friday double bye as a 4 seed. Now there's only 2 teams with 9 losses. It's Penn State and Wisconsin. So really, to be worried about Michigan State slipping down to that Wednesday seeding, you would have to see both Penn State and Wisconsin go 2-2 or better to close out their season. But one thing that I do want to mention here is that if the Minnesota game doesn't get rescheduled, that could mess up Michigan State tiebreaker-wise. I don't think it would bounce them to a Wednesday 11 seed unless they have a catastrophic finish to the season coming up. But yeah, just based on winning percentage-wise, not having that 20th Big Ten game against Minnesota could harm Michigan State here. But yeah, they're going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't suspect that they will get a double bye for that Friday, but hey, you know what? These are 3 gettable games for our Spartans here, and all the other teams don't have, quote, gettable games. So yeah, it is a tight field in the Big Ten tournament already before it even shakes out. Now, just a few more notes to get to, some questions. Tyson Walker was on fire yet again on Tuesday, 5 of 7 from 3-point land. He was really the only reason Michigan State was somewhat in the same neighborhood as Indiana for that stretch in the first half where, elsewhere it wasn't going so pretty. And hey, look, we all know that Tyson Walker has been an incredible shooter, right? He's shooting 41% from 3 on the season. If you look at him from home, he's shooting 42.5% on the season from 3-point land. But we want to take a look because it really occurred to me, like, this guy seems to just be absolutely destroying it from 3-point land whenever there's a big game at home. So let's take a look at the 8 home conference games. That's right, the 8 Big Ten games that have taken place inside of Breslin Center. Gang, Tyson Walker is 23 of 46 from 3-point land against Big Ten teams at Breslin Center. That is a smooth 50% in Big Ten home games. And that was also his third 20-plus point game against Big Ten opponents at home this season as well. So no, your eyes are not deceiving you. Your memory is not playing tricks. Tyson Walker really has been that good at Breslin Center against Big Ten foes. Now, we got 2 questions here. One was in the YouTube comments. This was from Aiden. He asked, hey, after Tuesday's game, maybe Jaxon Kohler starts. Do you think he should start over Mady Sissoko? And this is a conversation that we've brought up time and time again the last few weeks. And seeing Jaxon ball out the way he did, that's going to keep the conversation going. And look, I'm personally still in the bandwagon that Jaxon Kohler should maybe start, that he could be in that starting lineup. And I point to a lot of slow starts Michigan State has. And yeah, Tuesday they had another slow start. They were down 8, basically when the jump ball happened. But 2 things. One, I don't think that was a Mady problem on Tuesday. That had something to do with AJ Hoggard 3 turnovers in the first 6 minutes. But also, it's not going to happen. First and foremost, like, Izzo is not going to make this change with only 3 regular season games left, or 4 regular season games left if that Minnesota game gets rescheduled. But it's just not going to happen. But it also might not matter at all. Michigan, look, I was very critical of the splits between the 3 guys playing the center position. Mady got the lion's share of the minutes. Didn't go so great, but Tuesday was a completely different story. Of course, Carson Cooper out with the ankle injury, but Jaxon Kohler did play 19 minutes to Mady's 18 minutes. So the split there at the end, yes, Mady started, but didn't even end up playing most of the minutes. And also, too, look, Jaxon played a really good game on Tuesday, but I thought Mady did as well. And no, it wasn't the box score that you read from his Gonzaga games or Kentucky games, but just doing the little things around the hoop, really on defense as well. Strong against Jaxon Davis, holding his own until a double team got there, even waving off some double teams every once in a while. So Mady had a pretty solid performance as well. But yeah, this is the rest of the season. It will be Mady starting. Second question here. This comes from Zach. He says, question for you, something that took me, but what do you make of Indiana pulling Jaxon Davis with 2:30 to play, down 11? We just saw that very night Villanova erase a 10-point lead with 30 seconds left. I may have had a bet on Jaxon Davis over and being pulled with 19 points with 2:30 left. Stunk, but Justine, did Indiana quit? Were the Spartan Dogs just too much to handle last night? And figure to kind of just chalk it up as a loss. And then also writes in, Jaxon Kohler is my savior. The Indiana thing is fascinating, and I listened to the Assembly Call. That's the big Indiana podcast. We actually had Jared Morris of Assembly Call on before the game. I listened to their recap episode, and they brought something to light that didn't even occur to me with Jaxon Davis, is that his legs have got to be shot now, right? I mean, I get it. You know, he's a star player. He's been here forever. He should be conditioned to play a lot of minutes, and he has. But Indiana's played 10 games in the last month. In 7 of those 10 games, Jaxon Davis played at least 39 minutes. All right, Mike Woodson and company, understandably so, has been beating the brakes off of Jaxon Davis, and you kind of saw it throughout the game on Tuesday. Of course, you got to credit Michigan State's efforts. Like, they made that game difficult and confusing for Jaxon Davis, but you saw it to start the half, right? He had a point-blank layup, barely gets off the ground, misses the layup. He didn't really have any physically imposing presence on defense, where he has been known to be a block machine. That just wasn't there on Tuesday. So I think playing 7 games in your last 10 games with at least 39 minutes a night on those legs, I think finally caught up. Maybe the coaching staff realized that okay, we're down 11. This guy's barely kind of getting through his game. He's kind of off right now, which how funny is that to say that a guy can be off despite having 19 points and 7 rebounds? But yeah, I think that's what we saw there, is just a realization of, yeah, we're probably not going to win this one. And Trace is slogging out there, man. So we're going to get him on the bench here. And really quick, this was from Ryan O'Blenis of Spartans Illustrated. He pointed out that on Tuesday night, high school sophomore, that is, Trey McKinney out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, he visited Michigan State. So if you want to get on some 2025 recruiting, well, there you have it. Kid is a 6'4" combo guard from Metro Detroit. Actually grew up in Flint, so not Metro Detroit, but now goes to school in Metro Detroit. But yeah, 6'4" combo guard. 24/7 Sports has him rated in the top 30. Rivals has him rated in the top 50. He also visited during the Michigan game as well. So long way to go, obviously, in this gentleman's recruitment. But yes, Trey McKinney, already a name to keep your eye on. Top 50 kid or top 30 kid. But yeah, he also visited for the Michigan game last month as well. So just want to throw that one out there. Gang, FanDuel Sportsbook is the best place to be for all these game nights. And we are also at the midway point of the NBA season. That's right. Just because it's the end of the college basketball season, we still got a lot of NBA to go. And it is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sports app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use, and it just makes watching games a whole lot more fun. At Breslin Center, when Jaden Akins hit his second three-pointer, I celebrated that as if it was a buzzer-beating shot to win the game. Well, that's because I had Jaden Akins to score 2 3-pointers. So, yeah, when that one cracked through the net, ooh, yeah, that's right. We got the winnings in the account at FanDuel. And also, too, you can withdraw it very quickly. FanDuel pays you fast, super easy to use. So don't miss out on your chance to get that no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply.